welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. I love us to start this morning, very interestingly, with what we have coming from our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. But do well to be part of what we do, have a say in what we say. You can find us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am very so honored to have joining me virtually is Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have this morning, and possibly we would head straight to our main conversation also for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time. All right, so let's kickstart today with our dailies this morning, and I would love us to possibly start with one of our newspapers here. Let's kickstart today with the Vanguard newspaper. 2 killed as vigilante foils a bandit attacks on Kogi School. Nigerian money supply grows to 119 trillion naira. Kaduna train attack. Publisher Mamu received 50 million from a terrorist and DSS. Coup. Jonathan trapped in Guinea-Bissau. Let's tell Tinubu the truth on insecurity, and that's coming from Senator Dixon. Emeka, let's start with a colleague of ours. I do not know who this man is, but they say he's a publisher. It's called Mamu, and the DSS are telling us that he received 50 million naira from a terrorist as a result of the Kaduna train attack that happened sometimes back during Muhammad Buhari. Speak to us. What do you think is happening here? Help us make sense of the story. Emeka, are you there? Emeka, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, it's an interesting case. It's an interesting case because Tukomamu has been a negotiator with these terrorists. He was negotiating on behalf of the government, with the terrorists. Now, concerning those people that were kidnapped, that Kaduna train attack. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Emeka. Speak on.
Hello.
Yes, yeah, I can hear you.
So he was accused. Yeah, the DSS investigator said he betrayed the federal government negotiating committee by collecting 50 million naira from those bandits or terrorists. If you recall, they made over 1 billion naira. Those criminals made over 1 billion naira from the kidnapping of those Kaduna, those guys, those people on that Kaduna train. So that he made. He accused him of having collected 50 million naira. Now that was a betrayal. That was a betrayal of of the federal government committee. That he was nominated by the terrorists that attacked the Kaduna Abuja train on March 28, 2022. They was accused of convincing the terrorists to discuss ransom payments with individual families of the hostages, instead of a committee set up by the federal government and headed by the chief of defense staff at that time. So, and then they said he collected ransoms on behalf of the Boko Haram terrorists from families of hostages, confirmed the amount, and facilitated the delivery of same to the terrorists. Honestly speaking, if this is true, honestly, it is really shameful that the journalists will be involved in such a thing. Look at how those people were brutalized, how those terrorists were flogging those hostages. There was even one elderly man whom they took 200 million naira for. That tells me, confirms the suspicion that there are people in any place, there are people in positions of authority, people in influential positions who are actually enabling the terrorism, this terrorism. There are people who are making money from it. Honestly, if it's found to be true, honestly, this matter has to be treated with every sense of seriousness that it deserves, because this is wickedness. This is horrendous. This is just plain wickedness. I cannot, I've been thinking about it and I cannot just, I can't just believe what I'm hearing. Thank you.
Yes, Emeka, it's actually very sad. But the big question is, does it really matter at this point? Just a couple of days back, Bayo Ononuga has stated that the release of the CAC people that were abducted by terrorists and bandits was more like a communicational issue that happened between DSS, the military, and the bandits, that nothing was paid. But we all know something was given for them to be released. So what difference does it really make that this man collected what he would refer to his constituency allowance? At the same time, the current government of the day allegedly are equally doing the same thing that others have done.
No, there's a difference. You see, there's no government in the world that will come out to say it has a policy of negotiating with terrorists, or that it pays ransoms to terrorists, or that it encourages people to pay ransom to terrorists. No government in the world will come out to say that. But we do know that government, they back all negotiations. What they call non-kinetic approaches. They do backdoor negotiations. But in this guy, in the case of this guy, Chukwemamo, he was accused of having betrayed the federal government committee. He was, he said, he had a link to the terrorists. And the federal government brought him on board. He headed the chief of defense. So he was supposed to work with that committee. But they said that what he now did was that he went on his own and was now negotiating with the terrorists and the families of the hostages. He left the federal government committee in the dark. So he was doing his own business. He now turned it into a business of his own, allegedly. That of course is even it's true, it's heinous. It's callous. Because there are instances where, if you remember years ago, when 2 Americans were arrested in North Korea, former President Bill Clinton was sent, to go and negotiate their release. And he went to North Korea and he negotiated their release. He got the 2 of them out. This is happening. But nobody will tell you the final details, that whether money was paid or there was an exchange of prisoners. So in this case, this guy was acting unilaterally, and of course that is unacceptable. That's unacceptable. If it is found to be true, it's unacceptable. Thank you.
All right, Emeka, let's equally look at what's happening from the Punch newspaper for today. Abduction, Tinubu declares emergency as NAS rejects bandit negotiation, and ECOWAS, AU condemns military takeover in Guinea-Bissau. Emeka, let's go to our brothers in sub-Saharan Africa. Guinea-Bissau, it is. I learned the election results are yet to, of course, come out. Just before then, the military actually struck. What do you think is happening here? Is it that the military used this as an opportunity to get into governance, or was it still the deliberate act, the enunciating act of our leaders who truly do not learn across Africa?
Well, the second thing is that the military continues to wield so much influence, in the affairs of the African nations. And so, but the sad thing is that our politicians also behave like, this reality doesn't exist. They behave like it doesn't exist. And so look at the case of Guinea-Bissau. Former President Goodluck Jonathan and some other observers are said to be trapped in the country, and He went there as the head of the West African Elders Forum, to go and monitor the election. Now, the two leading candidates, they are claiming victory. So the army just came up and started shooting around the presidential palace, Of course, General Dennis Nkaha, head of the presidential military office, announced that a command composed of all branches of the armed forces are taking over the country until further notice. So now, the incumbent president, Umaru Sikoko Embalo, and his main challenger, Fernando Diaz, both of them are claiming victory, despite the absence of formal results from the Electoral Commission. So when you look at it, it still tells you that, the military remains a potent threat to democracy in Africa. When we say the military should be returned to the barracks, the politicians still go, baiting the military, calling on the military to come and take over power. You saw what happened in Tanzania, where security forces, were ordered the president, Salma, that woman, she, because she claimed to have won over 90% of the votes, of course, the security agents opened fire and killed over 100 Tanzanians. So you can imagine, in order to maintain her grip on power, look at how the number of people that had to die. And then tomorrow, if she's overthrown, we will be shouting democracy, democracy. But the question we need to ask is that, is it the killing of people? Does it justify, the sustenance of democracy? Why should you have to kill people because you want to claim an election victory? It doesn't make sense. So now, in this case, the military said they intervened to restore constitutional order. So as maybe they will tell you to prevent what happened in Tanzania. If you remember years ago in Ivory Coast, it was the same thing. When, two contestants were, their supporters started fighting, and you saw how many people died. So we really need to ask ourselves the question: in Africa, do we really want democracy, or we're just joking with it? We know that ECOWAS and the African Union, they have condemned the coup, but what can they do? When the one that took place in Niger, ECOWAS couldn't do anything. The other one took place in Burkina Faso earlier. ECOWAS couldn't do anything. Another one in Mali. ECOWAS couldn't do anything. Look at Sudan. Sudan is a basket case now. The African Union has not been able to do anything. So it's like that. Even Nigeria. Look at Nigeria in the grips of terrorism and extremism. And the US is talking about intervening in Nigeria. So that tells you that Africans, we need to reassess our role in terms of democracy. Do we want democracy or not? Thank you.
All right, Emeka, let's equally take a look at the Guardian newspaper for a bit here. Lawmakers declare security collapse, seek death penalty for kidnappers. Emeka, are they saying this because VIP security operatives have been withdrawn from some of them? So they are now beginning to see themselves like Nigerians they have never seen themselves as. So what do you think is happening to our representatives, the senators, the House of Rep members, and other VIPs that need no police personnel, but of course they have the power, they can afford it, and it's often given to them rather than Nigerians? So speak to me on this very sensitive matter.
Well, let me just tell you. I will first of all ask National Assembly. Let them, if any of them that does not have thugs, any of them that has not dropped money to arm thugs, should raise his hand. Before we start saying anything, let me tell you, the insecurity in Nigeria, arose from the desperation of politicians to capture power and to hold power. When they arm youths with dangerous weapons. So at the end of the day, they abandon these youths. These youths now use these weapons to go and fend for themselves. So, and it continued to graduate until we now had this terrorism. So what we need to do is that we must tell ourselves the truth. Africa, these National Assembly members, they're not just being sincere. Look at one of them yesterday, Senator Ali Wamako was saying that if government truly withdraws police from guarding VIPs, that the terrorists will face them. I said, okay, so is it the ordinary people that the terrorists should face? If you make your constituents, if you make them secure, if you make the entire country secure, there will be no terrorists. You wouldn't need any security guards. You wouldn't need any security, any police regarding you up and down. You wouldn't need it. But because you are the ones looting the treasury, you are the ones making a mess of the country. And that is why you need police to guard you against those people. And let me tell you something. Those security aides cannot protect them all. That's one thing they don't realize. Look, if the terrorists are determined to kidnap them, they will finish them and nothing will happen. So they should stop looting the country. They should stop making the country insecure. They should fix the nation. Because 70% of the issues around crime, terrorism, and others has to do with socio-economic problems. You know? And so if they can fix the country and stop arming youth because they want to win elections by all means, then we'll have a safer country. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka. I think we have to leave it at this point just to let us know that Emeka would still be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. 6 parties, 3 decades. Can Atiku win at 81? That in a bit. Still Enterprise Morning. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.